Hello and welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis, and today I'm very grateful and very humble to be joined by Tiziano Sguerso. Do I get it right?
Sguerso, that's me.
Sguerso. Tizzy, for short. I've found Tizzy about 4 months ago. My buddies Carter and Adrian have interviewed him as well, and I thought, oh, this family constellation, this story, this guy. I feel like my listeners and my viewers would get a lot out of this conversation. So we've tried to make it happen over the last few months, and I've finally got him, and I'm looking forward to this chat today. Tizzy, welcome to my show. Looking forward to hearing about your story, your awakening, and wherever else we go. I'm just looking forward to it. Tell me, my listeners, my viewers, who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you are from a professional kickboxer or boxer as well to fleeing Italy to being in Australia and running all these events and doing some pretty awesome shit. So I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. So Tizzy, welcome. How you going? And yeah, let's start this thing. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Nathan, for having me, brother. It's a pleasure to share some space, and particularly some space with men, diving into self-development, deep stuff, and the journey to make us a better people, better person. So how do I got where I am? So I'm Italian, yes, Tiziano Sguerso, as you said. I had a very, very bumpy upbringing. When I say bumpy upbringing means that I've done everything in my life that it makes me very suitable for a Netflix movie. My journey started when I was little and my parents divorced. The divorce of my parents was extremely bumpy. There was a lot of violence involved. And I eventually became, let's say, the result of my environment. I didn't have any leading role. The leading role I was having around was pretty much around criminality. So I dive into criminality, violence, drug dealing, any sort of street fighting, to ended up in jail when I was 18, actually 18 and a month, something like that. House arrest. Some of my mates got murdered. They died in jail. So I pretty much ended up in that environment. And kickboxing took me out of that in terms of I started to fight as a professional fighter. This was quite early in ages at 16. I had some pretty awesome fight to start with some big names in Europe. So that gave me let's say life gave me the opportunity to make a career out of that and save myself in terms of, okay, you don't need to be like your environment. You can be something different, or perhaps you can stay healthy, even stay in your environment. So I was still living around that neighborhood and criminality, and in Savona was very much all around that. Savona is the city where I was born. And I have always had, let's say, my head on top of my shoulder in terms of an healthy living. I never used alcohol or stuff like that, because fighting was something important for me. It was also a mask of protection that I was keeping around myself to, let's say, show up in my environment and be looked as a tough boy. In my environment, Nathan, I soon realized that the people that my friends are scared, or they speak of them about, oh, that guy killed that guy did that. So I realized that respect was a form of love, you know. I was seeking for love when I was very young, and I was bullied perhaps in 11, 12, 13 years old. When I got out of the household, I didn't have any leading role. I was bullied for a few years, and eventually after that I realized, okay, my mates, they punch each other, they drug deal, they stab each other. So if I get into that role, people respect me and they stop bullying me. So that's what I did. Eventually I became one of them, and eventually also the leader one in the pack. And yeah, so let's say that kickboxing kept me this mask of protection. Oh, that guy is tough, so we can mock around with him. And that mask remained alive until I was 21. 21, 22. At that age, I had a big depression, brother. I've been literally just my body shut. I start to become depressed in my mind, depressed in my body. I couldn't fight. I had like binge eating issues, issue in my personality, borderline disorder. Like I was really in a bad place. Also, perhaps about the life I was living, because I was obviously making money illegally. and eventually, you know, some mates were caught and this and that, and I was like, you know, obviously scared to be one of them eventually in the long run. And my life completely shifted when I left Italy at 26 and I came to beautiful Australia, to beautiful Sydney, where I took off my mask of protection, and eventually I became what I was dreaming in Italy when I was depressed. I say I want to make a living out of being a professional fighter, kickboxing, perhaps become a personal trainer of rich and famous people. This is what I did in Sydney. I actually manifest exactly what I was dreaming in when I was depressed. And I started to fight here again as a professional fighter. I had no more than 3-4 fights because my mind was not there, but I became a personal trainer of rich and famous people. I went to them on radio, I went to them on TV, big names, and my life shifted 360.
Mm.
And well, the last bits of that is when I opened up a business, and I went in depth with my business, which was a big business. I imported boxing material from Italy, boxing equipment. I went in depth. The business didn't go as good as we thought with my business partners, so I went down in debt of a little bit more than 100,000 euro. And a few of my mates told me, Tizi, you had an extreme life. It's maybe time that you look at something within. And there is this German psychotherapist called Bert Hellinger who acknowledged us, informed us that it's not all of our stuff. It's actually something that might come from our system of belonging. Imagine, Adrian, at that time, I was completely clueless about this stuff. So I was like, what are you talking about? You know, what do you mean? Like, but I'm a big believer, you know, like whatever you tell me, I believe because I'm a dreamer. I trust life in full. So I was like, okay, let me try this stuff out. I went to do my first Family Constellation, and that changed my life forever. But since then, I never stopped in terms of, I was still a personal trainer. I was still making good money with that. So it was giving me the opportunity to just do that as a hobby, learning, going through different coaches and therapies to learn more about that. Eventually, I discovered that I had a big gift. I have a big intuitive gift. I could literally perceive stuff in people, like even before I could meet them. And I dive deeply into Family Constellation, and in 2019 I made this reality, and I became this observer of the field, of the morphogenetic field, and I do that all around Australia, and since this year worldwide, and I have served thousands and thousands of people worldwide, and that's my biggest passion, brother. It's my biggest purpose, and I have the aim to bring this to worldwide eyes and make a worldwide impact with that. And I know I'm doing it, and
I feel that
it's coming.
I feel that, man. So much to unpack there. You said an intuitive gift, yes, and you were talking about how you could perceive something in others before they walk in the door. Yeah, it's a beautiful gift to have because I have a similar gift, bro. It's a beautiful gift, isn't it? And when you finally actually see it and can like feel it, like what was that feeling like the first time you just sort of, was it like a feeling from you, or was it someone that came to you and you were just like, oh, I feel there's something going on there? Like, how was that moment where you're like, oh, I found my gift?
The more Nathan I started to attend Family Constellation workshop, and the more I started to understand it. Understand Family Constellation is to understand the field of existence, which we are all part of. And this is not woo-woo experience anymore, because quantum physics acknowledges us that we are part of an informed field. What is an informed field? We are energy. We are 99% energy. So only 0.0000 is actually the physical, the matter. So when we are able to dive into what is energy, where we perceive it, how we perceive it. So what I always say, Nathan, is a good observer, a good constellator is a person who is able to understand the difference between feelings, thoughts, and inner guidance. Thoughts are the language of the mind. Feelings are the language of the body, and inner guidance is the language of this morphogenetic field within us, speaking out through the soul. Some people perceive it through words, some people perceive it through images. And a good observer, such as myself, you perceive an inner image that tells you where that person really is, where that person in front of you really is. That person might tell you, oh, I feel amazing, I feel this, I feel that, but actually inside yourself, when you connect to this person, you see that this person is sitting in the corner in like a little child, perhaps a little scared child. So you see that this person is actually wearing a mask, say, I'm great, but inside yourself, because you are part of the same intelligence, you are able to perceive where this person is to a soul level.
100%.
And that is what makes the difference between an average observer, like, I follow the field, I follow what I think, or actually I perceive inner guidance in the part of myself which we are all connected. We are all part of this morphogenetic field of existence.
Yeah, 100%. It's so true. It's so when I ask my guests too, and they come on and we have a chat, we talk about rock bottom moments and how they shaped the next phase of the journey or the next phase of the life. Like, were you at a moment where you're like, fuck, this is as low as I can go? And what was that? Was that a moment for you? Was it a situation, person? What was it? And how did you overcome that?
I had, Nathan, beautiful question, by the way. I had 3 or 4 very powerful moments. One of them happened when I was in jail. I got out in jail and I made my girlfriend at the time pregnant. And she was coming from a very good family. I was probably the worst person in the city that you could possibly get all pregnant from. She was deeply, madly in love with me. I was a little bit like, the naughty pretty boy, and of course I had a lot of girls at the time, and I always had that aspect of me. And we broke up. Obviously, she had an abortion. We broke up. That was a big rock bottom for me because she was sort of covering the mother role for me. It was this situation. She was an important person for me. She is still, and that was one of the rock bottom. I had long time to get out of that, but in getting out of that, I actually rediscovered myself. I started to give myself my own value, not getting value from my little mom. So that was a rock bottom, but there were 2 rock bottom going forward that will be more powerful, let's say. I left Italy when I was around 23, 24 with one of my good mates. He was much older than me. He was a big drug dealer in my city. We left Italy and we went to Portugal. And we went to live in Sagres for some time. I didn't say anything to anybody. I was so depressed that I said, let me leave this stuff behind, I just left. And this guy, we were making money out of thin air, so no problem with money. We eventually ended up in Tarifa. He was doing drug traffic between Morocco, Spain, and Italy. They were importing hashish. And we ended up in a big villa in up to the mountain in Tarifa with a group of ex-Nazi escaper. Like, they were basically ex-Dutch people that they escaped from after the Nazi war. I promise you, this story is like crazy. I'm telling you more about it in details, actually. And my mate, they were trafficking hashish between each other. Something didn't go right in the discussion. Like, they decided it was a price, instead it was another price. I don't know. Anyway, we were in a room with people with machine guns. And that was another rock bottom when I thought, okay, if something happened in this room and I disappear, nobody will ever know that I've existed. What am I doing about my life? What am I doing? I actually started to think of myself like, what am I doing here? Like, what's the meaning of life? Like, what am I doing in this room with these people dealing with hashish, and for what? That was a rock bottom. Another big rock bottom, which I think was the biggest. I was a bodyguard in my own city, in my own town, 25, and there was a guy who was very young. He was like me when I was young, like an upcoming criminal leader in the area. He was Albanian. And I was at the door of this club, and I was letting people in and out. We were 2 of us, myself and another good mate of mine, which is a badass as well in terms of punching and kicking people, ex-fighter. Those guys were like 10 people, 10 Albanian. They came in front of the door. They wanted to come in. This guy had something with me because I had a name in my own town, in terms of criminality, they all know me. So they all knew me, and, I had a name. So this guy wanted to put my name down to uplift himself. Same things that I did in the past myself with other people. So we had a discussion. We didn't end up fighting because obviously he was scared to fight me, but I was scared to fight him too. Not because I would have smashed him in literally a click, but we're 10 of them, and I knew they were armed. I was armed too. If I wanted to, I go home, I had gun as well, but I knew that if I would bash him at the time in front of everybody, all the other they would have bashed me. So I kind of shut up in terms of like, okay, they say to us, we were a big group, and they say, okay, you fight you two, and we don't, we don't get involved. We went to fight. He didn't want to fight. I wanted to fight, obviously, because it was the things that I was doing best. But I knew if I would have reacted, all the other they would have smashed me afterwards, and that was something that I could not afford in front of everybody, because there was a big club in my city. Everybody knew me. So that night, my ego died. That night, Nathan, my ego died. It died to the point that with other mates of mine, we wanted to organize a murder. We wanted to kill him. And in my city, it's big for, we had 11 murders in 10 years. So you find gun very easily. And we had that mentality in terms of like, it's like a dominant mentality, like a very ghetto mentality. And if somebody puts you down, there's some sort of consequences afterwards. So I had that those journey where I was like, oh, we need to kill this guy, and obviously I was the leader in my area, and I had other people that they were older than me, they were even worse than me, much worse. So we had that thought, and eventually it didn't happen. And a few weeks after, what happened to me? This guy fought another Albanian guy, and this Albanian guy destroyed him. They literally smashed all of his teeth, like in front of everybody. So his name was put down straight after, and I kind of left. Okay, it happened, but I had my ego so wounded, Nathan, because it was all about my ego, and yeah, that was another rock bottom moment. Yeah, that was another rock bottom moment.
There's so many things to unpack in the death of the ego, isn't there?
It's all about that. For me, it was all about that, because I was living like an actor life. It was all about ego, all about.
Yeah. And it was the same with my life too. Like I would get validation from women and get validation from all these different sources, when I was just like, well, I can get validation from myself, but the ego wanted the validation from someone else. And it was interesting when you talk about this stuff, and I know where this is going to go. It's like, well, I was in my ego for a very long time too. And it's that moment where it all just sort of reality, or not reality, like something just smacks you in the face, and you're just like, it's an interesting moment to cop when that switch happens from your head to your heart. How was that like it was like for me, it was like a whole year period. It's like the whole of 2022 was just the death of Nathan's ego. And then it's still playing out now too, but it's like, yeah. And do you find that there's still elements of the ego that we can sort of work with? Or do you find that, the whole thing's just got to go? Like, what do you sort of balance? Like,
the ego, Nathan, is extremely useful to experience reality. Some people are like, oh, the ego is shit, the ego is this, the ego and that. Not really. The ego is the vehicle in which you experience reality. The most spiritual experience of all is the body. So the spirit experience itself through the body. And through the body, they experience the ego. The ego is also good because it allows you also to achieve, to go towards success, to work toward leadership. I'm big in that. Like, let's say, I am not driven through the ego. I'm driven through the heart, through the purpose. However, the ego allows me to go there, to experience that, to have the simple rewards in life that, oh, this is an amazing constellator, this is an amazing therapist. And that feed my ego too, which is good. However, for men, it's more about going through the different masculine aspect in the psyche, the lover, the magician, the prince, and eventually the king. So going through the different level of masculinity through the psyche, and they are all needed. Like, let's say what you would call a narcissistic man is very much needed in the psyche of the man to achieve the king, to become perhaps a leader that serves people rather than serve itself. But that part of what we call narcissistic, which is systemically is a man in the sphere of influence of the mother, is still needed. Why? Because the man in the sphere of influence of his mother seeks validation from a woman, what you would call, you know, I have a woman who validates me, tell me that I'm good, tell me that I'm great, tell me that I'm beautiful. The more beautiful is this woman, the better I feel, of course, because I am a leader in the pack, you know. Oh, look how hot is Tizi girlfriends, you know, like that leave me validation. But when I leave the prince mentality, what you'd call narcissistic, and I enter in kinghood and I become an adult man, that prince mentality is still good. Why? Because I still aim to achieve more money, to impress my woman, to serve my woman. I still aim to achieve more success and leadership and service in the world. First of all, to impress my woman. I want to go home and I want my woman to feel, hey, my man is alpha, he's a provider. I can trust him. I can allow myself to be led by him, and my man is serve me best, because a man places himself in service to his woman, to his family.
That just dropped on me then.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a big concept, you know, Nathan. And sometimes people are like, oh, narcissistic this, narcissistic that. All of those aspects of the psyche, Nathan, are important. They're not to be let down. You need all of them. You need the magician, you need the lover, you need the prince, you need the kinghood. Every part of the masculine psyche are useful to achieve the highest expression of a man. However, sometimes, Nathan, why we don't achieve the next step, the next aspect? Because we don't have leading role model. Our father were absent. Our grandfather were absent. They went in war. They went in this. They died. And we need to find those leading roles in life so they can allow us to step up to the next level of our manhood. Because eventually, Nathan, those archetypes which I'm speaking to you about are all inside the field. They exist already in ourselves. In you, there is already the king. There is already the prince. There is already the lover. You just need a tool to discover that and experience that to the max, or to the best of your capabilities.
Yeah, and I feel like I've walked that path. You know, I went through the dark night of the soul 4 years ago. So you break out of that prince mentality. Then you start going to the gym. You start taking care of yourself. So then you what's the one before the king? And then
The king is the next level.
king, yeah. And then you start,
yeah.
as you embrace the king, then you become the lover. And it's like, well, I'm at that point now where I'm ready for that next step. And I'm a single man, 29, and I'm ready for the next phase of that.
Good.
Which is an interesting topic that brings up, because every time I do a podcast with someone, we go personal in the me, and I just it's interesting. I'm at that next step. So obviously there's some people that will be at all sorts of levels. I know how to get from prince to king. Tizzy, how does one get from king to lover? Hit me.
Well, lover is actually before
Okay.
Before the prince. However, you touch an important topic, Nathan.
Yeah.
The lover is still inside the king too. And let me tell you the difference what could be, just to clarify this.
Yep.
A lover in a prince mentality is more a lover that seeks validation from his woman. So his woman validate him and tell him, hey, Tiz, you are amazing, you are beautiful, that's this and that. A king, it's his validation are inside himself. Why? Because a king found his father. It is his father who give him the values. So the values that I have, they are my father's value. And the value that I have, I place them in service to my purpose, which is the vehicle of my purpose. Family Constellation, for example. I bring the gift of my father inside Family Constellation. And through those gifts, I ride the bike of my purpose. The motorbike could be Family Constellation, you know what I mean? But the value is my capability to ride this bike in my own way, to go on one wheel, to go down, or, you know, that's my own gift. And the lover in that is a man who places himself in service to a woman. That's the difference before, when a woman serve a man to give him validation. And the same things happen both sides, because this man give validation to this woman. So this is very much a man who brings his mother in his woman, and a woman who brings her father in this man. Going forward, they both embodied their original and biological parents, so they seek in each other the service to life. Service to life for a woman is the highest expression is motherhood, because obviously a woman becomes as close to God when she becomes a mother, because she creates life, she has this capability. We don't, and that is why we serve a woman. We make ourselves in service to her, for her to be in service to life the most, so she can carry forward the project of life and give birth and moving forward. Sometimes this doesn't happen, Nathan. Why? Because certain men, they're not men enough, so they don't allow the woman to fully surrender to her femininity. And this is happening when women are getting angry and very tired all the time because the man doesn't step up in his role. So the woman cannot step aside or up in her role. And that's where usually the woman gets angry, she gets bitter, she's always tired. She perhaps retain a bit of her masculinity, so she needs to go to work and survive. She doesn't like that eventually in the long run.
This is happening everywhere right now, isn't it?
It does, brother.
And what do you put it down to? Like, I do videos and different podcasts, and my content's around men becoming those kings. And a lot of boys around my age, a bit younger, are sending these real interesting messages to women these days that I've sort of exposed a couple of them. One of them, I did one on Instagram the other day, and this guy said to one of my friends, he's like, you look like you could go all night. Now, how, like, I used to say that sort of shit too, but I never went there. But it's like, is that like, I'll just go with me here. So I had mummy issues. I had a closed off heart from love. My first girlfriend cheated on me. So I had this perception, this subconscious block that I don't like women. So I'm gonna do my thing and become the player, the womanizer for 8 years because of my own issues with women from that moment and from childhood and stuff. So you're getting a little bit of a gauge of me. But with these younger boys that similar to me, there's a lot going on there. How did we get to that point where we're actually saying that to a woman rather than just, having a conversation is where I'm going, but sort of threw my stuff in there too, because that's sort of the background of me. Yeah.
Very clear, Nathan. Very clear. You've been more than expressive in that, and it's a clear topic. The problem is we remain attached to our mother for too long. And this is a problem even prior that our mothers, they took the role even of our father. So they place our father behind, hidden, and we remain loyal to our mother. So we see them as the leading role, the pillar in the house, which the woman is the pillar in the house, but also the leading role. So we remain attached in their sphere of influence, in the childhood sphere of influence, the first one, the mother, for too long. And eventually the feminine is flooding our psyche. So we start to become little princess, and we seek validation from other women because we are those little princess. Eventually, in order for us to step away and become a man of honor, even in relationship, and a man of honor means a man in service to life, because our father is the service to life, we need to detach from our mother and entering our father's sphere of influence. So be led and guided by our fathers. But I have men still as now that they go on holiday, them and their mother without the father, even after when they are 40. And I'm like, no. When you are 40, it is your father your leading role. You call your father. And you can't be the second partner of your mother. It is your father, the partner of your mother, and you can't be yourself. And this is because our mother placed an expectation on us that they are too much to carry. They want us to be their hidden favorite little prince that they couldn't get from our fathers because perhaps they were absent, perhaps our grandfathers were absent, so our father didn't step up enough as a man. So our mothers burden us with those ideology of being the perfect man for them. But they cannot carry us, they cannot burden us with such a big systemic hierarchical disorder. We can't do that. We are their son. And we need to remain their son. And our mother needs to give us permission to go to our father. Sometimes, Nathan, is our mother who doesn't trust our father enough, so it doesn't allow us to go to them. They perhaps speak unpleasantly about them. They don't trust them in full. They sometimes place us, son, above our father. And this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. The most profound phrase that a mother can say to a son, and I promise you, is, I hope, Tiziano, you will become an inch of your father. When a mother say that to his son, he makes him invincible because he gives to him the order of things. This man will never have problem with authority, with leadership, with direction. Why? Because he knows that above him there is his father, and he respects his father. Why? Because his mother does so.
Lots to unpack there.
It is big. It is big. I know.
Yeah.
I've Nathan, this is my biggest purpose and passion in life, and like I look at it from every bloody corner because first of all, myself, as you said, I was like that. I still, as today, I work majorly with women, and I sometimes host events of 50, 60, 70 women, and my capability to deal a lot with women is because I spend a lot of time with my mom and with other women. I was the little prince. Oh, beautiful Tizzy. So I have a good charming behavior towards women. However, I bond them deeply, but now I bond them from a place of my father to serve them, because now I don't go there and I flatter them like a prince experience. I'm there in service to them as a king experience. I serve my kingdom. So I go there and I serve to these days thousands of women worldwide, and this is because I've embodied the value of my father, and now I am in service to them. It's no more that they are serving me by flattering me, or me serving them by flattering them. It's me serving them as a man, and that's why they trust me. Women trust you, Nathan, when women trust men when they are close to their father. The same is for men. Men trust women when women are close to their mother. When a man is not close to his father, the women feel to the surface could be, oh, he's amazing and this and that, but to a soul level, she doesn't fully trust him. Why? Because he didn't fully enter the service of life, the project of life, his father.
Interesting. What would you put that down to? Not being close to the father slash mother in the man and the woman, yeah.
It's majorly of our mother, Nathan. When our mother doesn't give us permission to go to our father, we stay distant. To a soul level, it is your mother, only your mother, who can give you permission to go to your father. And this is for men and for women. This is why some women are close to their father, because it's easier, because they are flattered by his eyes. They obviously get attracted by the opposite sex when they grow up as teenager, but then they become bitter with their mother. Why? Because their mother didn't give them permission to go to their father. And women, they do that by bypassing, so they want to be flattered by their father eyes, and they keep experiencing their father all over and over, and this is when they call narcissism. They keep meeting men like they seek the validation from their father rather than actually embrace validation within themselves, which are the value of their mother.
It makes sense, but when I was a teenager, I was very bitter towards my mother.
You were very
bitter, very angry.
And I tell you what this is about. When your mother places herself in front of your father, and she's unconsciously hiding your father and placing him behind to some extent, in the long run, you become bitter with your mother. Why? Because she cannot do that. You have 50% your father, 50% your mother. You cannot be 70% your mother and 30% your father. As a child, you seek to bring balance, so you become bitter at the parent that is hiding the other.
Oh, that makes sense. Because I've delved into this in my own journey through everything, and yeah.
It's big, bro. It happened to so many. I became bitter with my mother too. I was extremely loyal to her because she actually raised me, and my father was absent for a very long time. But then when I bonded with my father and I entered his sphere of influence, adulthood, I became so bitter with my mother. So bitter, Nathan, for years. Still, I have to say sometimes now, I have some little, when she says something wrong about my father, I snap.
Isn't it interesting? Because I had a great mentor tell me, Tizzy, that your mother's always going to trigger you and push your buttons. Why? Because she installed them. So
Yes,
yeah, it just
that
it
was
just
a good
dawned on
mentor
me.
of yours. That was a good mentor of yours telling from me. Yes,
Yeah,
she did. She did. Like, not only her, obviously, your system of belonging. You belong to your father's system, to your mother's system. But of course, in terms of relationship, she has installed those buttons in you. Because why? Your mother is your relationships. When you get out of the womb, the first person you relate to is your mother.
100%.
So your imprinting in all of the coming relationship, loving relationship, they reflect the relationship with your mother.
So how does one go from, without selling you too much, Tizzy, how does one go from that? So we'll just go with me, right? Everyone that's listening and watching, the teenage version of me that was bitter towards and angry towards my mother. So how does one then allow the father to come in? Are you talking on a soul level here to allow that father leadership in, or that father figure?
I talk on both sides, and I'm going to give
Oh,
you
okay.
example
Yeah.
on both sides for you to understand.
Yeah.
What happens to the soul level absence is happening in the reality too. So what does that mean? If you experience the unresolved with your mother, you keep meeting women that they bring to the surface the unresolved with your mother in order for you
Yep.
to resolve that. Okay, so
Yep.
they keep bringing to the surface what is not resolved because to a soul level your souls seek to reunite that which was separated, so you and your mother. Once you bring reunion to that which was separated, and that's what we do in constellation much quicker than what you do eventually in life, because it takes you years and years, then you can leave her sphere of influence and you can enter your father one. But if you don't resolve what is unresolved in your first sphere of influence, your mother one, you keep bringing that even into the next chapter of your life, and you don't want to do that.
That makes sense.
And you are not fully able to leave the first sphere of influence and enter in the second, because you are still attached by something you are excluding, a form of love that you don't accept. Perhaps that's your mother one.
It makes sense because I know when I've delved into this, yeah, so much anger in that, and I've done a lot of work around it, and yeah, it's like, yeah, lots to ponder there for me. It's
Yeah,
actually, yeah, it's interesting, mate. It really is.
looking at, and I know when those topics unfortunately are not very much to the surface yet, and that's what is my purpose in the work, to bring the soul level up to worldwide eyes, to acknowledge more that psychology can give you 1-2%, but what the soul experience can give you is 98, 97,
Yes,
98%. So you can change your life from a mental point of view, but that will make a very, very, very tiny shift in your life. But when you change your life from a morphogenetic level, that is a 360, Nathan. And that will
100%.
can really make a difference in your life. And this is
You've
what I'm bringing to the world, to
yes.
public eyes.
And you've summed up my last 4 years because I feel like I'm in that now. And it's interesting that when you talk about the women that were coming in, that because I closed my heart off, right? So I was angry towards women. Well, that bitter teenager was angry towards his mother, wasn't he? So is that sort of, yeah, you just added that little bit of, yeah, gotcha.
What we exclude, we become. So a woman who
Yes,
excludes her father, she becomes very masculine. A man who excludes his mother, he becomes very feminine. So what we exclude, we become. Why? Again, we are affected by what we call family conscience. So there is a force that acting below, beneath every individual, to bring a reunion to what is separated, to maintain you part of the pack. So if you exclude your mother, you become what you exclude, because you
yeah,
need to get to the surface what you're not accepting. Same things as for women. When they refuse men, they become like them. They become extremely authoritarian. This is what we call the feminist movement. The feminist movement is a movement in service to the father, not in service to the mother, because that's a very authoritarian woman. It's the opposite. They support men, not women, because they support who they are excluding.
it's deep, isn't it?
It is, brother.
And yeah, you've given me some gold nuggets here today. I thank you for that.
I always do with my guests, particularly the one that the first time we interview. So it's a new
It's
start.
just, I'm just going to go off the cuff now. So someone's my age, right? They're 29. Oh, we'll just personalize it again. I'm at a point now where I'm at that next phase where it's like I've got stuff and I've done a lot of work on myself and I've gone in deep with some of the stuff you've spoken about today through those patterns and stuff. And you're feeling like you're starting to get in your groove, you're in the flow, and it's like that next step towards because I'm 29, nearly 30, and there's the program of, where's your house, where's your wife, where's your family, where's your kids, and that huge program in society, as we both know. But, being 29 now, it's like, well, I'm sort of ready for that next step. So would there be something again with either parents to be like, hey, there's still something holding you back from that next step?
I'm gonna give you, Nathan, the biggest and best advice you can possibly hear
Here we go.
from this point of view. The more you be yourself, the more you are being yourself, Nathan, and the more you are unfolding through life, everything in phases, specifically, precisely to the way that it must go, and you achieve success and purpose quicker. Let me give you a more physical understanding in that. We protect ourselves from the wound we experience in childhood.
Yes.
We make a mask. We become actors, actresses. The more you take off those masks, the more you become who you were as a child, your uniqueness. The more you express your uniqueness, and the more you step up into your purpose, into your leadership, into the reason why you are here on this planet. Some people takes a long time to understand who they are, because they have so many masks. They listen to so many people. They try to become so many archetypes and this and that they forget who they are. They forget
Yes.
the more, Nathan, you bring to the world your uniqueness, and the more life rewards you. Why? Because you are unique. There's only one Nathan. There's only one Tiziano. And the more you become that Nathan, which you don't need to become, you are already. And the more you are able to serve us, to serve life into the next phase, and life rewards you from that. Remuneration comes from how many people you are serving. If you are serving one person, you get paid accordingly for one person. If you serve thousands of people, you get paid accordingly because you serve thousands of people. So every phase in life is to become more of who you are, as a man, as a husband, as a lover, as a business person. Nathan and his individuality. That is the key point. That is the key point. Become Nathan as much as you can. Don't become Tiziano. Tiziano can help you to discover who Nathan really is, but don't become Tiziano. Become Nathan. Because if I become Nathan, I deprive the world of my individuality. And that is a disservice that I'm doing to myself and to you too.
I've heard that a few times over the last 4 years, and I've started to delve and be more me. Moving from where my old town to 2 states away helped that too. Yeah,
Of course,
it's interesting. Thank you for sharing that too. I really appreciate that.
Brother, honor and a pleasure. And particularly the age you are, 29, is very powerful. I opened my first business at that age, is the one I went in depth with. And that was a big step up. And already what you're doing today is serving people. Your capability to share a message which goes through me, but my message goes through you. So you and I, we are serving people with that. The amount of people we are serving with our message is the energy we get back. We get remunerated accordingly with this.
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting too. So I knew this was going to go deep today. I woke up this morning. I'm like, Tizzy and I are going to go deep. I was in the shower about an hour ago. I was like, this is just going to be deep. And I knew we were going to go personal. Anyway, to wrap all this up, Tizzy, I've had you for 45 minutes. So to wrap all this up, if you're listening to this and you're where we both were, and you're about to start that journey of, you could say, awakening or whatever it is, what would be your advice to that person that's just listening to this podcast right now and going, whoa,
Become
How would
desperate.
one take that first step, towards something?
I'm desperate.
Yeah.
The more desperate you are, the more you are able to change.
Yeah.
If you are not able to deal with, you change. This is what I say to people. Don't try to save yourself in a little nest of protection and this and that. Die inside you. I always say to people, the best people who come to my event, Nathan, are the one desperate enough. When someone is desperate enough, they come to my event and they get out of the door that they are another person. Desperation is the key point to change. The problem in society today is that we try to keep up to some nest, to another form of our mommy, to a job that we don't really bloody love. We want to leave it, but we keep we keep ourselves above water.
Yes.
But when we drown inside that water, I promise you, that is when we change our life forever.
Yeah, I love that. That's such an awesome way to finish such a deep podcast, man. It's like a mic drop. I got no.
Yeah.
Tizzy, a lot of my listeners and viewers won't know where to find you. So where can they find you to be like, I might reach out to this guy?
So first of all, my website, which is worldwide, is www.tizianosguerso.com. We have events every month in Australia, worldwide, online systemic library. There's so much content. I go live every month with all of my listeners. We have over hundreds and hundreds of viewers already. Booking a private session, of course, there and stuff. There's a long wait now, but I do events worldwide. And eventually, when they want to hear my message, is my Instagram account. So it's at Tiziano_Sguerso, and they, I have already a good following, and my message goes worldwide now, video, and we record every event of mine, and there's a lot for everybody. And if you check out there, I promise you that you find something that is about you, because I really deal with pretty much everything, to the most extreme experience, which the one I've been through, Nathan, to the most simple, which is a simple relationship. So I'm here to serve you guys. Take what you need, because it's what I'm here to do.
I love it, mate. That's such an awesome podcast. You're an awesome man. I'm keen for part 2 already. When you get back from your next event over in Italy, I think you're going back to Italy, aren't you?
Italy, Europe, yeah.
We'll have to stay in touch and we'll do another one, mate, because that was really awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for jumping on, Tizzy. This has been the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis. I'll be back real soon with some more awesome guests. Tizzy's coming back on when he gets back. We're going to go deep again. So thank you so much, Tizzy. I appreciate your time, and I know my listeners and viewers will get a lot out of that 45, 50 minutes just then. So thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Honored, brother.
Good man. Talk to you guys soon. Cheers.